I am Charlie Hibbert, and this is the Great British Chef's Signature Series. I like sharing dishes because it's eating across the table. You interact with each other, passing dishes around, and you're all eating the same thing and sharing, which is a really nice way of doing it. It's important to enjoy your cooking. I don't think you want to be stressed when you have people over. Having big sharing plates make the evening a lot more enjoyable. This recipe celebrates our garden. It's a real privilege to have all of that at our doorstep. It's a beautiful sharing dish that we've had on, and it's a great thing to have at home on a big plate. We are making an Aioli Garni. It is a Provence dish that traditionally they ate on Christmas Eve, but also throughout the year on Fridays. It's mostly about having good vegetable prep. It's fairly simple, but sourcing the best ingredients makes the finished product inexorably better. So we're using things like artichokes, celery, potatoes, but throughout the summer you can use asparagus, runner beans, so you can really make it a platter of vegetables as you want. So we start with our cod. We just want to salt it gently and leave it overnight. So about 50 grams of salt, a good covering, and a little bit of lemon zest, just for a little bit of kick. So this now goes in the fridge overnight. Cover it with a piece of greaseproof paper to stop it drying out, and then you're ready to cook it in the morning. And while that's happening, we are making the aioli. We're making it in a pestle and mortar. The reason we're not using a whisk is because whisks tend to aerate the aioli, and we don't want that. We want a really thick finished product. So we're just flattening the garlic a little bit with the flat of the knife. It just makes it easier to peel. The Grand Aïoli tends to have any kind of leftover bits of poached chicken or, beef from yesterday's, pot-au-feu or whatever you made. So this one with just salt cod or just fish, that becomes an Aioli Garni. And it's just a really wonderful thing to eat. And even if you don't have fish, it can be all vegetables as a vegetable platter with kind of a really delicious thick Aioli dip. It's not a bad idea just to help yourself get started by just running your knife through the garlic so you don't have slippery bits of garlic flying out of your pestle and mortar. In with a really good pinch of salt, and the salt helps the garlic to be turned into a paste. It gives an abrasive surface for the garlic to be crushed against. So crush your garlic to a fine paste, and you are going to probably start to work up a little bit of a sweat doing this. So we've crushed the garlic, and now we're just going to separate out 3 eggs, and they go straight in with the garlic. So combine the eggs in with the garlic. So we've got about 500 ml of olive oil, which looks like a lot. It is supposed to be very thick, but if it gets too thick, you can add a little splash of water to loosen it up and then carry on. So you're very slowly adding in the oil and combining so that it doesn't split. You're probably going to need to rest your shoulder from time to time, but the effort is worth it. So you can see it's beginning to thicken up. And so you want it nice and thick because this is called the butter of Provence. So just the name implies the texture that you're after. And you end up with that beautiful, thick aioli that we're after. So just set that to one side and you can get on with preparing the rest of your aioli Garni. So you've got a huge assortment of vegetables. So first things first is in with potatoes, and we're just going to cover them in cold water, season the water, and just let them come up to the boil and cook. And that is going to be the same with the carrots. Pop our carrots in, season the pots, and set them going on the back. So our potatoes are cooked and our carrots are ready, and we're going to drain them off. And we can just pop those to one side. The only other bit of vegetable prep or cooking that you need to do is to cook your artichokes. It's really worthwhile. They're a fantastic vegetable if you can cook them at home. When you're prepping artichokes, you want to have some acidulated water to stop them discolouring. So a lemon in a little bowl full of water will do the trick. So the best way to start with your artichoke is to take the top off and go all the way through. So you can see the paler leaves inside, which are the softer, more edible ones. And you want to just crack away those outer leaves. And what you're left with at the bottom is the stem. Edible as well, just take the bottom part off, and then you're using your knife very carefully to gently take that outer layer off. And that pops into the water. So for your artichoke base, take your shallot or small onion and just gently peel away the skin. And then once you've got that, you're just going to slice it down. This is going to go in the pan, and this is just going to form the base of your artichoke stock that you're going to cook your artichokes in. Just gently crack the skin, and they can go in along with your thyme and sage, a little bit of olive oil, and then that just goes on to begin cooking on the back. So the onions have pretty much finished sweating for the artichokes, so we're going to add in a little bit of vinegar and some white wine, and then we're going to put the artichokes in and cover them with water and allow them to gently cook. Our cod sat overnight, so we're going to give it a little rinse, and then we're going to make a court bouillon. So that's onions, celery, carrots, a little bit of garlic, some thyme, a bit of bay, and some peppercorns. And they go into the pot with some vinegar, a little bit of wine, and water. So the vegetables are just to flavour your court bouillon. So you just roughly chop them. You want them in big pieces, and they just go straight into the pot. No sweating, no nothing like that. So we're going to drop the cod into the court bouillon. It should take about 4 or 5 minutes to cook, and you'll know when it's cooking because the fish will start to flake apart. It's very firm, salted cod. As soon as it starts to pull away from the skin, it's ready. So it breaks apart, it's quite delicate, but everything's ready to go. So we start with the aioli, and then you just start building around it some lovely leaves. We've got the heart of the celery we'll be using for the court bouillon. We have some beautiful radishes. We have a couple of boiled eggs with an anchovy, and it very quickly becomes a lovely full plate of food. We have our potatoes. We're just going to halve. There's quite a few, you may not need them all depending on the size of your potatoes. It's a mixture of beautiful boiled vegetables and lovely raw vegetables. You don't have to stick to the vegetables that are in the recipe. You can use what's to hand as they do in Provence. To finish, we've got our beautiful artichokes. The more delicate the food, usually the more delicious it is. A few halves of lemon, some olive oil, and a smattering of salt. And that is an aioli garni.